Welcome to Building Your Personal and Professional Resilience at the 2020 Institute of Fundraising Convention. My goal at the end of this session is to provide you with some strategies and steps you can start today, including some that you can start using right now. I'm Deanna Wolf, Senior Consultant Trust Fundraising at Moneytree Fundraising. For the last almost 30 years, I've worked professionally in the third and public sector, assisting people to improve their lives. For almost 18 of those years, I've been a trust fundraiser, most of that here in the UK. Prior to that, I'd been a children's, outreach and reference librarian in some of the nicest and roughest parts of New York City and northern British Columbia. I'm not sure which was more dangerous, the gangs or the bears. Since 1994, I've immigrated back and forth between Canada and the United States and Canada and Britain 4 times, and in October 2016 I was finally naturalized as a British citizen. I've survived earthquakes, tornadoes, immigration, and the theft of many of my most precious treasures in a house robbery. I've lived in New York City during the September 11th terrorist attacks and the plane crash that happened a few weeks later. I've even been chased by a bear. I've learned the hard way about resilience, and I hope that with today's session I can provide you with some insights to make your own journey a bit easier. Today, I'm going to discuss resilience and how you can increase your own, especially in these very challenging times. I'll review the role of our values in resilience before defining it and what affects our resilience. I'll be examining the impact of low resilience both on us individually as well as on our organizations. I'll delve into the value of resilience to us and to the charitable sector, as well as some characteristics of resilient people. I'll be exploring 28 ways to build your personal and professional resilience. And finally, I've got some reading and resources that may be useful for you as you explore your own resilience. We live in an increasingly complicated world, bombarded daily by situations which require our action and reaction. On both personal and professional levels, we can often be overwhelmed. In our own lives, we can often be affected by cancer, domestic abuse, isolation, bullying, racism, typhoons, natural disasters, homelessness, hunger, poverty, mental and physical health issues, diseases, bereavement and suicide. We may also be dealing with our own lack of confidence, mismatched expectations, divorces, moving house, grief, death of a close friend or relative, ill health, loneliness, and increased fear and anxiety. Professionally, we're additionally affected by these when they are experienced by our beneficiaries or colleagues. Fundraising itself becomes more challenging year on year as competition increases, whilst guidelines and purse strings tighten. Pressure to meet targets and the impact this has on our relationships both in and out of the office can leave us all feeling a bit strained and vulnerable. And this was all before a cute-looking coronavirus turned our planet and global ways of life upside down. Identifying the crucial and flash points in our lives and careers where resilience is the key to our success is an important step in maintaining and improving our mental health and our ability to grow and move forward. Resilience is built by attitudes, behaviors, and social supports that can be adopted and cultivated by anyone. However, in order to successfully adopt these, each individual needs to have a sense of their own values, capabilities, likes, dislikes, and aptitudes. Personal values, which lead into professional values, are at the core of a person. They give our lives purpose and direction. They help us to build and keep a sense of self and to know who we are, how we behave, and how we present ourselves to the world. They motivate us and fulfill us. They can guide us through each day, task, and encounter with another person. They help us to achieve our goals and improve our confidence. As children, we initially get our values from our parents and from our communities. As we grow older, we begin to decide which of those values we wish to keep or replace. This process happens throughout our lives and may change as the situation in our lives change. When the things you do and the way you behave match your values, life is usually pretty good. You'll be satisfied and confident and content. But when your behavior and actions don't align with your values, things can not just feel uncomfortable, but wrong. This can be a real source of unhappiness and can begin to affect your health and resilience. Life can be much easier when you identify and acknowledge your values and they make decisions and plans that work with rather than against them. Alongside our personal values, our workplace values guide how we approach our activities and colleagues in our work. They help us choose between right and wrong and help us make important decisions and career choices, from choosing a career field or organization to work for, to applying for a job or promotion. They can also help us decide if we want to stay or move on from a career path, job, or organization. But it's not just us as individuals who have values. Our organizations have. Workplace values set the tone for its culture and identifies what it, as a whole, cares about. It's important that the values of employees, volunteers, and the organization are in alignment. When they do, this common purpose and understanding helps people build positive relationships. Yet values help the organization as a whole to achieve its core mission. When the values are out of alignment, people work toward different goals with different intentions and outcomes. This can damage work and professional relationships, productivity, job satisfaction, and the potential for useful innovation. Take a moment now to think about your values. Are they personal? Are they professional? Which ones are set in stone for you? Which ones are more fluid or flexible? The words on the screen represent some of these values. You may have varying degrees of these values. For example, you may be devoutly religious, or it may just be something that you think about for special occasions. You can find a number of self-tests on the internet and in the professional literature which can guide you through identifying and examining your personal values. It is important to remember that the values you choose are your choice and are not for the approval or condemnation of others, as theirs are for them. Resilient. Noun, resilience. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, to be resilient is to be able to recoil or spring back into shape after bending, stretching, or being compressed. Or when speaking about people, animals, and organizations, to be able to recover quickly from difficult situations and stresses. An individual's personal and professional resilience are interconnected. Resilience is an asset seen to benefit an individual as well as an organization. Without the necessary skills and support to cope successfully when under stress, individuals may perform poorly in their personal and/or their work lives, and may even become unwell. However, resilience is not a fixed attribute. Various studies have shown that the capability of individuals and communities to cope successfully in the face of significant adversity develops and changes over time. Resilience doesn't mean that an individual, community, or organization won't experience stress, pain, grief, sadness, negative emotions, adversity, or loss. It just means that they're better able to manage their responses and their ability to bounce back. It also doesn't mean that you will have the same level of resilience every day. Lots of factors can affect you at any given point. Furthermore, resilience of individuals, communities, and systems is a key theme and factor in the United Nations Sustainability Goals and the World Health Organization's Health 2020 framework. Developmental stages and resilience. To understand resilience on a really practical level, where we can start to develop and maintain our own, our colleagues, and our organization's resilience, we need to review some basic social and psychological development stages human beings go through. We don't exist in a vacuum. Even as babies, we will have a concept of ourselves, that we exist as separate entity from other entities, be they living things or objects. We begin to feel emotions and react to our physical state, such as being hungry, tired, happy, or in pain. As we grow and develop, we become aware that we also exist in the context of a larger space and how we fit into and can describe ourselves in categories, for example, age, gender, size, and skills. As we continue to grow, we can define and express our emotions more clearly. We describe ourselves more comparatively with other people and the things around us. For example, the view we have of ourselves, the value we place on ourselves, and what we wish we were really like. Or rather, our self-image, our self-esteem, and our ideal self. These and personal to us characteristics, such as our physical and mental health, will influence how we view the world around us and how we react to people, information, and the stimulus we encounter. This can further be influenced by external factors and external and social characteristics like religion, general politics, the roles we play in life, parental influences, friends, and the media. These also influence how we present ourselves and interact with the world around us and help us define our values. Our emotions and stress levels are affected by the things going on close to us, like marriages, bereavements, divorces, new babies, moving house, or family arguments or celebrations, to mention a few. Additionally, we exist in social and work systems outside of our own personal or generational societal bubbles, which have an impact on us and which we can impact. How we see ourselves and how we feel is projected out from us and can affect others in these systems, our colleagues, our friends, and others we may not know as well. It can affect how productive we are and how we react. Things happening in these systems, including disasters, extreme weather, war, and disease, or how others treat us, can equally impact us, how we feel about ourselves, our self-image, and our self-esteem. And this can be the case for every single one of us. The effects of low resilience on us. Whilst everyone has their own tolerances and ways of dealing with things, those whose resilience is low can be more easily and negatively affected by stressful situations. Both personally and in their workplace, this can contribute to errors and misjudgments, low morale for them and those around them, relationship breakdowns, absences due to sickness, burnout, and high staff turnover. On an individual level, the signs and symptoms are broadly similar to those seen with stress, anxiety, or depression, and can include getting angry or irritated quickly, constantly becoming ill, being increasingly dependent on family or friends, isolating yourself from other people, experiencing mood swings, over or underreacting to normal stressors, decreasing self-esteem and confidence, weaker memory, and engaging in risky behavior. If you want to check out your own resilience, there's a good online test available from the Bank Workers Charity at https://www.bwcharity.org.uk/resilience-check. The effects of low resilience on organizations. All of these individuals on the screen have their own personal stresses, mental health, and values which they bring with them to work. In a group setting, it's not just about how an individual is dealing with these, but also the effect they may have on the people they worked with and around. Without resilience and an actual mutual acceptance of shared values and goals, if something adverse happens, for example, a funding proposal is not successful, targets are not met, a global recession or pandemic occurs, neither the individuals nor the group or organization are able to positively cope with the situation. Furthermore, even if there's mutual acceptance, the presence of informal and exclusionary groups or cliques can significantly impact the resilience not only of the individuals, but of the organization. The personal and professional value of resilience. Resilience, health and well-being, and productivity are reliant on each other, such as a triangle is reliant on all three of its sides to provide its strength. If one element is weakened, the innate strength of the whole is weakened. When an individual or organization is resilient, their health and well-being will be robust, and their personal and work-based productivity will be of good quality. However, if their resilience is weakened, their health and well-being may be compromised, and their productivity at home and at work can be affected. Being resilient will help you both as an individual and as a staff member manage stressful situations and protect your health and well-being, ensuring that you will be able to continue to do your job and live your life productively. Resilient organizations and groups. When an organization and its employees and volunteers have aligned values and have developed resilience, they are much more able to cope when facing or affected by significant adversity. The impact will probably not be irreparable damage, but rather a ripple that works through some or all of the organization. Like successful combat units, the ranks, or in this case departments, are able to withstand adversity without breaking, and at the furthest point there may only be a slight wobble. There are links between developing resilience and neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. It relates thoughts, language, and patterns of behavior learned through experience to specific outcomes. Looking to reframe the language we use when we're under stress can help us develop tools to build our own resilience and that of our friends, colleagues, and organizations. When we look at causes, we are responsible for ourselves, including our own emotions. We may ask questions such as, what can I do to change things? What's going on here? How has this come about? We focus on finding solutions, not the problem. This outlook may not make our lives perfect, but it will make us more resourceful and able to deal with issues as they arrive. When we look at effects, we give power and responsibility to others. We ask questions such as, why has this happened to me? Suggesting that external forces have influenced the outcome. After 5 years imprisonment in Auschwitz and other concentration camps, psychologist Viktor Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning, in which he says between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Are you looking at life and the things that happen to you through the lenses of cause or effect? Which is driving your thoughts and words more often? NLP practitioners suggest that in any system, the person with the most flexibility will control that system. An example of this are the organizations which reacted quickly when the coronavirus lockdown was imposed. As traditional and planned events and community fundraising were being cancelled, their fundraisers swiftly harnessed the potential of social media and alternative digital events were put in place. They may not have had the same impact or expected returns, but relationships were maintained and income was coming in. It brought them time to begin other, longer-term planning as normal life as we knew it was put on hold. The importance of resilience to our sector cannot be underestimated, especially in our current pandemic situation. There's an assumption that productivity is the key to success. Our key performance indicators are often measured by reaching numerical targets, yet our work is often delivered through softer methods where the depth of our activity and interaction is more critical to success than the breadth or reach of our work. This creates a dissonance which we must work with and around. External context. Our charities work to improve the conditions in which the people and causes we support exist. We are subject to the same market, socio-political, and environmental forces as our public and corporate sector colleagues. However, we have much riskier and more speculative income streams. We are not able to rely on providing tangible returns in the same way or have the guarantee of statutory legislation to our beneficiaries or donors. We can only usually offer the warm feeling of a good deed delivered, and we are under significantly greater and more opinionated scrutiny and manipulation. The consequences of failure of services provided, funding not achieved or used appropriately, breaches of regulations, or internal mismanagement are greater and more immediate than for our corporate and statutory colleagues. In a worst-case scenario, aside from job and investment losses and reputational damage, all of which are very important as well, the third sector is often supporting causes and people who do not neatly fit into other categories or service provision in our culture. They are the ones that fall through the cracks, so to speak. Once our support is gone, they do not have anyone else to turn to. They may not be picked up by another department, find another supplier, or be refunded by redistributed government funding. As fundraisers, in any income stream, we bring to the table a lot of highly tuned skills, excellent research, persuasive storytelling, effective project event and financial management, and the ability to navigate the quickly changing landscapes around us, both internal and external to our organizations. Whilst the main goal of our charities is to improve the lives of our beneficiaries in the myriad ways we do, the main functional goal of fundraisers is to maintain and improve the financial bottom line for our charities. This often means finding transformational pots of funding at short notice to save the lives of the charity's beneficiaries or the jobs of our colleagues. Cultivating the resilience to manage difficult situations, a lack of understanding or cooperation with the fundraising function, alongside often material decreased chances of success, requires us to recognize and shore up our own and our colleagues' vulnerabilities. It requires us to develop hopefully positive self-care strategies to help us build our confidence and resilience. We are then much more able to prepare the next funding request after receiving 9 rejections from funders before we hear that yes, for applications, proposals, and relationships which took days and even months to prepare. To deal with the hurdles and celebrate the achievements we encounter daily at work and with our friends and family. The characteristics of resilient people. With more than a few lists available outlining the characteristics of resilient people, you can expect that a definitive list could get quite long. There were, however, a few characteristics I found that are consistent amongst many of them. Confidence and composure. Resilient people have the confidence in themselves and their abilities. They are realistically self-aware and take things in stride, including the challenging or scary things. Support networks. Resilient people don't go it alone, even if they prefer solitude. They cultivate and use their support networks of friends, family, and colleagues. Flexibility. They are sure in their actions and decision-making, but are flexible to accommodate new information and situations. Perseverance. They don't allow failure to derail them, and they continue to push on through adversity to achieve their goal, even if it's been revised. They also know when to call it a day. They are survivors, not victims. Emotional control. They can manage their emotions regardless of whether it's a positive or negative response to a situation. And finally, optimistic. Resilient individuals will look for that silver lining in the rain cloud. They can acknowledge a negative situation or outcome, and they learn from it for the future. Building your resilience can take time and be hard work. You're going to need to take a good, deep look at who you really are, accepting and possibly changing some pretty ingrained, well-settled aspects of yourself. Even positive change can be difficult, but you will start to notice differences as you progress. It is important to remember that you are responsible for your own resilience. It's not something you can buy and install, and it's not something your employer has to give you. What resilience looks like can be different for every person. There are a number of online do-it-yourself assessments to give you an idea of your resilience level. I mentioned one previously, the Bank Workers Charity, which can be found at https://www.bwcharity.org.uk/resilience-check. There are also courses and coaching you can sign up for. An internet search will provide you with lots of options if you'd like to go that way. If you don't or can't, here are 10 things you can do to build your overall resilience. Build and maintain your physical health. A person with good physical health is likely to have bodily functions and processes working at their peak. This is not only due to an absence of disease, but regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and adequate rest all contribute to good health. Bad physical health can have a negative impact on every aspect of our lives, including our mental health. By cultivating good health, you are making sure your body can withstand the effects of stress we experience in our personal and professional lives and from the world we live in. When you're stressed, it can be all too easy to neglect your own needs. Losing your appetite, ignoring exercise, and not getting enough sleep are all common reactions to a stressful or crisis situation. Build and maintain your mental health, including identifying your values and emotional management. Good mental health is the capacity of each of us to feel, think, and act in ways that enhance our ability to enjoy life and deal with the challenges we face. Be aware of how you're coping and know your trigger points. Without good mental health, it can often be difficult to look beyond your own feelings or to respond effectively to the situation around you. Get professional support if you need it. There are resources available from your GP, the NHS, and private healthcare services, and your organization may also have resources you can access. Many of the tips we're providing here for resilience can also improve your mental health. Become self-aware. The good bits, the bad, the not so good bits, the bad bits, and the need to grow bits. Knowing and accepting who you are right now, what you believe in, and what things you'd like to change or grow can make it much easier for you to start to build resilience. It can help you decide your priorities in life and where you need to get additional support. In some ways, it becomes the baseline from which you move forward. Develop and maintain your support network. It's important to have people you can confide in and relax with. Human beings are social creatures, and interaction with others has a massive impact on our health and well-being. Good relationships with family members, friends, and others, including colleagues, can strengthen your resilience. Having supportive people around you can act as a protective factor during times of crisis, like right now. While simply talking about a situation won't make your troubles go away, it does allow you to share your feelings, get support, receive feedback, and come up with possible solutions to your problems. Professional support networks can include colleagues in and out of your department or organization, mentors, bosses, teachers, and others. Have set personal and professional goals and objectives. Goals provide us with a structure to grow and move forward. They provide us with something to reach for and that can add personal meaning to the work we do. Develop realistic goals, though, that are achievable, that also make you stretch. It allows you to plan practical steps to achieve what may seem insurmountable. They can also be something to hold on to in an adverse situation or crisis. It's important to be pragmatic about your goals and review them regularly to make sure they're still desired. Establish and keep a work-life balance. We all only have 24 hours in a day. While we're working long hours, it can be difficult to take care of the people and responsibilities that are not attached to our workplace, and that includes us outside of the workplace. When there isn't a balance between work and life that fits for an individual, they can become stressed as they try to meet the needs of everyone. Whether that imbalance is falling to the side of work or personal life, it causes a dissonance for the individual, which can lead to resentment, ill health, and possible role exploitation. Cultivate a positive worldview. Staying positive during dark periods can be difficult, but maintaining a hopeful outlook is an important part of resiliency. Positive thinking does not mean ignoring the problem in order to focus only on positive outcomes. It means understanding that setbacks are temporary and that you have the skills and abilities to combat the challenges you face. What you are dealing with may be difficult, but it's important to remain hopeful and positive about a brighter future. We have the ability to decide how we're going to interpret adversities we face. When we work to find an appreciation for what we've gained as we persevere, we develop a more grateful approach to living. This is very much the basis for saying, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Choose action. Simply waiting for a problem to go away on its own only prolongs a crisis and contributes to an increase in fear and anxiety. Instead, start working on resolving the issue immediately. Whilst there may not be any fast or simple solutions, you can take steps forward, making your situation better and less stressful. Focus on the progress you've already made and on planning your next steps, rather than becoming discouraged by the amount of work that still needs to be accomplished. Actively working on solutions will also help you feel more in control. Rather than just waiting for things to happen, being proactive, on the other hand, allows you to help make your goals a reality. If making decisions and taking action is difficult for you, start small. Make a meal out of what you find left in the fridge the day before you do your shopping. Take a new route to work. Try a new restaurant serving something you've never tried before. As you practice, your confidence in your own decision making will grow. Overcome your fear of failure. Many of us avoid failure at all costs. We're afraid people will think poorly of us if we fail, and we feel ashamed when we fail. But when we avoid situations where we fail, or where we may fail, we never give ourselves a chance to overcome that challenge and develop resilience. The language we use to describe something can have a significant impact on how we think and believe, as I've mentioned previously. If we change the negative meaning of fail to a more positive first attempt at learning, we can change how we react to it in our lives. Many experts have failed more times than they've succeeded, but they've learned along the way, giving them greater expertise as a result. They've not allowed their failure to stop them from trying again. If you think of failure as a threat, as many of us do, your body will prepare for a fight, and you'll feel like you're in a battle. On the other hand, if you choose to do something hard that you could fail at, if you choose to look at something hard that you could fail at as a challenge instead, you will often be more capable and less likely to fail. You could work on this by trying things you've never done, with no expectations of success or failure. You're simply learning a new skill. Over time, you'll become more practiced at making better attempts. Reframing and reducing catastrophic and negative language in your outlook. Making a mountain out of a molehill in your description or attitude and your attitude toward it will affect your ability to deal with the situation. I do not mean the process of interrogating situations to develop solid crisis planning and risk assessments. Rather, it's believing that the worst case scenario is the only thing that will happen. For example, an unsuccessful job interview means that you will never be successful at other interviews and that you will never get a job, or that a typical summer rainy day will result in floods of biblical proportions. By reframing the situation, you're not negating it, but rather putting it into a more realistic context. For example, the successful interview was the wrong role for you, and you'll target your skills more closely to potential roles in the future. By reframing the language, we can gain control over our negative thoughts, and they stop being scary. we start to see that negative thoughts come and go. We have the skills to handle them, and we can begin to proactively pursue challenges. These challenges give us the opportunity to develop resilience and improve our lives. Building your professional fundraising resilience. Beyond developing your personal resilience, as fundraisers, we possibly know more often than in many other professions. It's important for us to build our resilience professionally as well, and I've got some tips that have worked really well for me. Be prepared as a fundraiser. Understand and know how to use the tools and techniques of your trade. If you don't know them, take advantage of any training opportunities, formal or informal, that come your way. That includes finding a mentor, doing some reading and investigation on your own, or even presenting a session at a conference. Be prepared for every ask. Know your organization and know your funder, regardless of what income stream they are in. Fulfill any eligibility or interest criteria according to your organization's own guidelines and policies. Those policies and guidelines and criteria are there for a reason, and they can guide and protect you. The next two tips both illustrate the point of worrying only over things you can control. Manage expectations of workload and success, both for yourself and for your colleagues and managers. Accept in advance that you will get more rejections than awards, and decide how you will cope with this. For me, once the application is out the door, assuming I've prepared it to the best of my ability, I almost forget about it, as there's rarely anything more I can contribute. It's moved into another stage of the process where I'm only keeping an eye out for the results. My focus is mainly on the preparation and submission, and then the stewardship processes. Everything in the middle is administration. By the time I've got the response, I no longer have an attachment to the preparation process for that particular proposal, and I'm already concentrating on the in-progress applications instead. If I get a lot of rejections in one day, which has happened, I fall back on distraction techniques like going for a walk, chatting with a friend, calling it a day if my schedule permits, and treating myself. Tomorrow is always a new day. Knowing your influence factor. Do your best on the application and to inform colleagues and managers what you need a project to look like, but accept you might not get the answers you want or need, and you can't make them give it to you. It makes life tough, but being able to move on and approach the situation differently will significantly reduce your stress. Additionally, once you've made the final ask, you'll rarely be able to provide more information. As I've said before, making this final ask is where your involvement and influence ends. It begins again when you move to the stewardship process. It may also be that another more senior person in the organization can move things along further, so investigate that. Find the balance between work and life. I know I've said it previously, but it's really important as a fundraiser. There'll be times when your hours are not regular, you're working to a deadline, or you're managing a donor who wants access to you all the time. You can accommodate all of this some of the time, but not all of the time. If you let work seep into your personal time, you'll be on the fast track to burnout. Equally, if your personal life is starting to creep into your work hours, you may possibly be affecting others beside yourself. And that's at work and at home. It can result not only in disciplinary situation, but you may damage some of your support networks. Figure out what works best for you and for your employer and colleagues, as well as your donors, and work with them to get everybody on board. Align your values, your personal values, and your work culture. It's unrealistic to expect all of your and your organization's values and culture to align perfectly. It's also unrealistic to assign the values of you and your colleagues perfectly. As mentioned earlier, when aligned, these can be a big factor in job satisfaction and productivity. If there are too many differences, however, the differences are very dearly held values, or the stated and actual values are not the same, you essentially have three choices if you want to maintain your resilience and health and well-being. The first is to adjust your values to align more closely with the culture of the organization. The second is to try and find enough of an overlap to satisfy your own values. Or 3, find a new organization where the alignment is a better fit, and that's always an option. Define what professional success looks like for you now. That could be maintaining your job to get your monthly paycheck, working your way into a desired salary or management band, becoming a subject or income stream expert, or even just working your way to retirement. Set some intermediate and long-term goals and work toward them. It will give you structure and purpose, and can help you make decisions, as well as taking advantage of serendipity when it comes along. Invest in yourself. The third sector and fundraising are ever changing. Seek out and take advantage of continuing professional development and learning opportunities. It will help for you to exercise your thinking muscles. It can provide you with new insights you can bring to your own fundraising practice, and can increase your confidence and flexibility. Also, it's your investment in yourself. Your employers are not responsible for investing in you. They can, and that's great, but they're not responsible for it. Celebrate your success. This is really important. Keep a list of the amount of money you've brought into your organization, and an outline of the projects, events, or relationships in which you were involved. When you need to boost your confidence, when you've just received that 9th no in the post in 48 hours, or not been able to sell as many tickets as you needed to, pull the list out and remember just how good you are at what you can do. And finally, find new challenges. There can be a repetitiveness in what we do. Another London Marathon, this year's Christmas appeal, the 300th tailored proposal for the same project. Aside from targets assigned by your organization, set yourself challenges and targets to stretch your thinking and your capabilities. They don't have to be career or life goals. This will help you with your problem solving and invention skills, and by regularly trying new things, you can reduce the impact when something doesn't go quite to plan. Resilience can take time to build up, especially if you're laying the groundwork to improve your self-confidence and self-esteem. We are living through exceptionally challenging and scary times at the moment, and I know many people are overwhelmed right now, this minute. Here are a few suggestions you can start using immediately to make a difference. The plus side is they may also jumpstart your journey to a more resilient you in the long run. Get enough sleep. I know I've said it before, but for adults that's usually about 6 to 9 hours a night, and although it can vary from person to person according to the NHS, when you don't get enough sleep, your thinking can be impaired, anxiety levels can increase, and your concentration can decrease. It can also affect your ability to physically move and do things. Even a nap can help. Make a decision. Write down the problem and then assess it. Ask yourself if it's worth paying attention or listening to. If not, throw it in the bin or delete it and move on, knowing you've consciously considered it. If it is, then agree with yourself to do something about it. The next 3 tips are about taking a break. It doesn't need to be a long one, but it does allow you to hit the reset button. Breathe. Spend at least 30 seconds equalizing your breathing. It will naturally produce a hormone called DHEA, which blocks the production of adrenaline, helping you to avoid panic and start to cope. Get outside. For a walk if you can, but even a few minutes breathing in that fresh air can do the trick. Countless studies globally are showing the real benefits of interacting and being in, or even just near, nature on our physiological and mental health, and that includes on our stress and fight or flight responses. Treat yourself. A sneaky biscuit, a takeaway coffee, 2 quick rounds on your favorite mobile phone game. Get a reward for coping up to this point can keep you going, but do try and make it a healthy treat if you can. Keep things in perspective, also known as don't sweat the small stuff. Not everything is about you or your organization. Talk about someone in a worse situation or do something kind for someone. Even a genuinely meant compliment can help. Research is showing the moment your generosity kicks in, your resilience soars. Access your support network. We've talked about support networks a number of times here, but you've got one, access it. Phone a friend to chat about anything for a few minutes. It doesn't need to be the problem you're dealing with. Being near a circle of support boosts resilience. Or ask for a hug, preferably from someone you know and like, which will help more. The hormone oxytocin is released, and it helps you feel happier and calmer. Now, depending where you are, the lockdown may not allow you to have a hug. Touch elbows. That works, maybe. Ask for help. And by this I mean specifically with the problem at hand. It could be from someone involved in the situation or someone outside who can assist you to address the issue at hand. You don't need to go it alone. And finally, I'd like to leave you with some resources that may be useful for you. The first 3 are tools that you can use to assess your own resilience, and the 4th provides some tips for helping you to get some sleep. It really can make a difference. I've also included some information about what a mentally healthy workplace looks like from an Australian mental health resource, Heads Up, developed by the Mentally Healthy Workplace Alliance, which is a group of charities, education, statutory, and membership organisations in Australia. As well, some resilience and mental health resources from Mind and the World Health Organization report on resilience as part of Health 2020 and the Sustainable Development Goals. There are lots of resources and information out there if you're looking to improve your own and team's resilience, and I recommend that you do go and have a look at them. I'd like to thank you very much for the last 40 minutes or so, and I do hope that you enjoy the rest of your convention.